Hello, BookTube. This is Aaron from Aaron Read a Book or Aaron Read a Book. I'm gonna do something I don't normally do, and that's a wrap up. I normally just do Friday reads because I have very short-term memory, but I wanted to sort of separate out the shorties from the Victorian books, although there are some Victorian shorties in here. So I thought I'd just go through all the books I've read for Shorty September, including the ones that I've already spoken about, but I'll speak very little about those ones, and I'll speak more about the ones that I haven't reviewed on the channel, and the final three books I read for Shorty September were all 5-star books, so it would be easier to speak about those ones at the end. So I'll start with my lowest rated shorty and then go up, although I shall say I didn't read any bad books this year for Shorty September, which is good because I always think in my head that I'm more of a chunkster person than a shorty person. We'll start with the worst book, and that is the Magician's Nephew by C.S.Lewis. It's upside down. Took me ages to notice that. This wasn't bad at all. I enjoy C.S. Lewis's writing style, and it was fun to read the first book in Narnia because I read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe like 8 billion times as a child and never read in the rest of the series, so it was fun to get some context. Although this was written after, it is good, but it tries to crowbar in too much. It tries to crowbar in the creation of Narnia, and C.S. Lewis also loves a bit of what's the word I'm thinking of? A biblical sort of retelling. I can't think of the word, but it's a bit of a retelling. So he's trying to do too much here, I think. But it was a fun read anyway, and I think I'll go and reread The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe scene. And I love these editions, even though it's the shiny ones. I don't know how many I've read. 1, 2, 3. We'll just say this is the second one. I can't be able to count. The Mousetrap by Agatha Christie. Again, really enjoyed this one. It's a good, interesting mystery. It's not quite a locked room mystery, but close enough, because maybe it's not, because it's not a locked room, but it's kind of a single room kind of mystery in a way, or a single house mystery, because it's about a B&B. It's not actually a B&B, it's like a guest house opening for the first time and inviting a bunch of guests. One of them gets murdered, and there's previously a murder the day before that they are suspects of. Explaining this terribly, but it's the usual Agatha Christie setup where every single one of the characters might have done it, so it's really hard to work out who did it, and then when you work out, or when she tells you who did it, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense now. And obviously this is a play, so I didn't enjoy it quite as much as a normal Agatha Christie novel, because there's not as much fleshing out of the details, but I would like to go see it. Number 3 shorty, I've spoken about this one, but not I spoke about this one when I was reading it, not after I finished it, and that is Fair Play by Tove Jansson, the author of The Moomins and the artist from The Moomins. This book I found quite hard to get into at first, and quite unrelatable, because it's about sort of middle-aged Scandinavian lesbians on a tiny island with just one house on it and a fishing boat. I found that quite hard to relate to, although the more it went on, the more I wished I was a middle-aged Scandinavian lesbian stuck on an island with my partner, because it just became very relaxing, and I love their kind of way of life and their way of speaking to each other. And it's all made up of little short stories and the little glimpses. It's obviously based on Tove Jansson's real life, because she did spend her summers on an island with a partner, and it was just them on a boat. And I think I found it also hard at first because I think Scandinavian people have a weird, quite abrupt way of speaking, and they it really comes across in the book. I can read it in Scandinavian tone, where they kind of raise the lilt of their voice at the end of a sentence, and it sounds like they're questioning you all the time. But it ended up sticking in my head a lot, and I really want to read more Tove Jansson now. I saw someone talking about another one of their books earlier today, so I need to check out some more Jansson, and the Moomins especially, because I do love her art style as well. I even like her Lord of the Rings, or no, sorry, a Hobbit with the weird Gollum in it. Next, I'm going to combine these two, The Rector and the Doctor's Family by Mrs. Oliphant, or Margaret Oliphant. Really enjoyed these. They're kind of almost too short to go into much detail. The first one is about a rector, and the second one is about the Doctor's family, and these are the beginnings of the Chronicles of Carlingford. And obviously you can just see there my copy of Hester, which I will be starting tomorrow with the group. I think there's some reading sprints, so it's the group read. Hester's not part of the Chronicles of Carlingford, but I do want to go on and read the rest of the Chronicles of Carlingford because I like her writing. It's kind of trollopy funny, and she has like 90 books, so if she becomes a favourite author, I've got lots of material. But yeah, very small villagey stories, kind of gossipy and fun. So the next book I read was I'm up to 4 stars now, by the way. What I gave 4 stars. I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. Again, this one was a reread for me. I don't know why I'm saying again, because none of the others were rereads. But I hadn't read it for over 10 years. And this was a lot more depressing than I remember. But same thing with Fair Play. I at the first half I was like, this isn't as good as I remember. Then the second half was really good, and it's a vampire book about a man who's basically stuck alone, surrounded by vampires, and his wife and child have died. So that's why it's pretty depressing, and he's an alcoholic as well. But it kind of delves into the science of the vampires in this world, and he's trying to work out like cures and things, or what causes vampiricism. And there's 2 types of vampires. There's like daytime vampires. No, that's not right. There's like living vampires and dead vampires. But yeah, the second half really rescued it for me, and I did really enjoy it. And I don't know why I've not read any other Richard Matheson, because he's got an interesting career. Now we're going to go into the 5 stars and the 3 books that I've read in the last week that I haven't spoken about before. So it was a very good week for me. First of all, shorties are not normally this big, but I only read 1 play in this, and that was Julius Caesar, which Kelly... this is upside down again. I can't believe that. Twice in one video. This was a great play. I love Julius Caesar. I have not read it before. I've not seen it before. I've not even seen a movie adaptation. But obviously, I know who Julius Caesar is, and Mark Antony, and Brutus, and some of the other characters, Octavius. So I knew kind of what I was getting. I knew the story. I knew what happened, how Caesar died, the Ides of March. But I really found that knowing the context of the play helped my enjoyment, because I think sometimes with Shakespeare, if you don't know the story already or the characters, you can spend a lot of time, because it's harder language than you would normally read. You can spend a lot more time trying to work stuff out. But this one, I don't think I ever really. Only the odd word I looked at the notes at the bottom. I just kind of read it non-stop. It did help that I had the audiobook version on at the same time, which had Kelsey Grammer and Richard Dreyfuss and some people with very sort of Roman-y voices. But yeah, I also loved the politics in this. I loved it. It had some sort of playful commentary on politics that's still very true today, where Mark Antony does his speech, and he's sort of outwardly saying we need to sort of forgive the conspirators who killed Caesar, because of this, but actually he's riling the crowd up for revenge. It's sort of double speak, and it's really clever stuff that you still see politicians do now. But yeah, one of my favourite plays I've read by Shakespeare. Really good. Loads of iconic lines that I didn't know were in there, like obviously knew Beware the Ides of March. I didn't know Friends, Romans, Countrymen was in there. I didn't know what is it? Let's the Dogs of War or whatever. I can't remember. But it was fun. It's a good play. I like it. I would like to watch an adaptation of it now as well. And lastly, the two shorties I finished on, both 5 stars, both new to me authors, and both what I would call an old lady author. And we'll start with Anne Tyler, which was also my monthly 2025 release, which I'm probably not going to do in October. But I love this so much. Anne Tyler is literally, I don't think anyone would mind me saying an old woman, because she's like 86 or 82 or something. So she's an old lady, and the characters in this are in their 60s, which is not so old compared to Anne Tyler herself. But if Anne Tyler's writing books like this in her 80s, I need to go back and read some of her earlier stuff, because she's either got better with age or she's done some really good stuff already. It's about 3 days in June, believe it or not, but it's about 2 characters, and they used to be married and they're divorced, and their daughter's getting married, and you almost exclusively follow these two characters, Max and Jill. And Jill's a bit sort of socially awkward and not very good at like picking up social cues and things, and Max is the complete opposite. He's like a happy dog jumping around everywhere. He turns up with a cat, a rescue cat that he needs looking after for the weekend or whatever the week, and so it must have been a real opposites attract kind of scenario when they met, and you do get flashbacks to when they first meet as well, which is fun. But yeah, it's the day before their daughter's wedding, so they have the practice dinner or whatever, and then the middle one is the wedding. Then the third day is a bit of a flashback to when they first met and just things the day after the wedding. Also, there's a little element of drama where the wedding might not happen, but it's kind of full of quite mundane life things and conversations, but it still manages to like get across loads of quite deep things about family and just human relationships in general. And then the ending is absolutely brilliant. I loved it. But I love her writing, and yeah, I love the characters in this, and it was really, really well done. So I'm definitely gonna try more Anne Tyler. If you've read other Anne Tyler books, let me know. And finally, the final 5-star book that I read for Shorty September is Mrs. Palfrey at the Claremont by Elizabeth Taylor. Not that one. It's not the actress Elizabeth Taylor, although apparently one of the characters in this book is based on the actress. I've heard a lot about Elizabeth Taylor from Charlie Heathcote, his YouTube channel. He's a big fan, and he did a video ranking all of her books. And I think this was his entrance into Elizabeth Taylor as well. And I think it's a lot of people's, because it's her most famous book. And it was her last book that she wrote before she died. And I think I've had lots of commenters in the past tell me that she's my kind of author as well. She was friends with Elizabeth Jane Howard, who's one of my favourite writers, and gets often compared to Barbara Pym and stuff. But she is quite a lot like Barbara Pym, but perhaps there's a little bit more melancholy to this book, because it's about Mrs. Palfrey, who is an old lady, and she's gone to live at a hotel, and there's a kind of small group of regular people who stay at the hotel all the time, and they're all kind of oldies. It's basically like the spot you go to before you have to go to a proper sort of retirement home, or nursing home probably is a better term. And it's a lot about the loneliness of being old, and her daughter kind of lives in Scotland, and they don't really have any interest in each other. And her grandson, who does live in London, where the Belmont Hotel is, the Claremont, he's not interested. They're not interested in each other either. But she kind of bumps into and meets this young writer called Ludo, because she has a fall, and he helps her, and they end up having dinner together and stuff. And he ends up pretending to be her grandson, so she doesn't feel so kind of pathetic with having no visitors at the hotel. And all the oldies at the hotel are such gossips and nosy Parkers, and they're kind of so annoyed by each other, and so interested in each other's lives and what's going on. And it's really funny, but really sort of poignant as well. And again, it had a brilliant ending. I loved this. Again, 5 stars. Anyone who ever told me I'd like Elizabeth Taylor is correct. This is great, and I've already got one of her other books, so I will be reading more of her. So yeah, that's my wrap up of Shorty September. Very successful Shorty September with 3 5-star reads, and 3 4 stars, and 3 3 stars. So it worked out well. Let me know if you've read any of these, or you've got any recommendations based on them, and what shorties did you read? What's your favourite shorty? Let me know down below. Have a good one, BookTube. Bye.